There is a subtle violence in a world that insists you must look joyful, cheerful, productive, visible, and performative at every turn. It begins quietly, a smile on Instagram, a cheerful post at Christmas, a vacation photo beneath a palm tree, and then it becomes a standard. You begin to believe that if your face isn't smiling, your life isn't working, your story isn't worth telling, your moment isn't valid. A philosophy professor once said that today's society doesn't just want you to succeed, it wants you to look happy while doing so. It's not enough to have a good life, you must broadcast a happy one. And if your reality doesn't match the highlight reel of others, then you feel somehow inferior, incomplete, unseen. But is this demand for constant positivity a blessing or a trap? We are told that happiness is the goal of life, that success is measured in likes, engagement, applause, that every difficult moment is a personal failure, a deficiency, not an inevitable part of being human. But what if none of that is truth? What if this relentless pursuit of appearances has nothing to do with your inner life, and everything to do with a modern sickness of the soul? This isn't just an opinion, it is something visible everywhere. People gathering for family dinners with phones in hand, each face illuminated by screens instead of by presence. Children eating beside parents who are not present, each lost in their own scrolling feed. Holidays where laughter is frozen in a photo, but never felt. This is the paradox of modern life. You can be connected to 1,000 screens, yet be more disconnected from yourself than ever. A great philosopher of antiquity, Marcus Aurelius, said, "It's not that we have too little time, it's that we waste much of it." Wasted not in doing nothing, but wasted in performing something that doesn't feed the soul. In chasing approval we never asked for, in constructing a happiness that isn't ours. This is where Stoic philosophy meets the modern condition. For the Stoics, Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus, the goal was never happiness as a public display. The goal was a tranquil mind, a heart that is not tossed by every breeze of circumstance, a life lived with intention, not reaction. A mind that recognizes that most things, especially what others think, are outside your control. And here is the sting. The world today tells you that control is possible, that with enough effort, enough polish, enough positivity, you can shape reality into something beautiful. But when you do it only for display, you have made yourself a slave to the spectacle. You are not living, you are performing life for others. The Stoics would call this a life lived externally, meaning your peace depends on conditions outside you, not inside you. They taught the opposite. Peace comes from within, from anchoring your value in your own reasoned purpose, not in the applause of strangers. Imagine a man at a Christmas table. The turkey was dry, the kids were restless, the grandmother spoke of her pains. You feel fatigue and anxiety instead of joy, yet someone takes a photo, a caption is shared. Family is God's greatest blessing. Nothing is wrong with gratitude. Nothing is wrong with connection. But there is a difference between true presence and forced performance. A forced smile is not joy. A broadcasted vacation is not presence. A caption is not reality. The Stoics saw that a life lived in the tension between appearance and reality leads to suffering. Not because life is bad, but because you mistake the external image for the internal truth. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." You suffer not because your life is empty, but because you compare it to a fiction, a curated illusion that someone digitally performs. This is a form of slavery, not physical, not external, but internal. Your peace becomes dependent not on your character, but on how others perceive you. A Stoic does not seek to be admired. He seeks to be centered in his own integrity. He does not measure his worth by applause, but by intentional action. So we ask ourselves, what is the worth of a happy photo if the soul behind it feels unseen? What is the value of a vacation snapshot if the heart was restless the entire time? What does it mean to live fully if your attention was never fully present? These are not easy questions. They demand honesty that few are coached to practice. Because our culture encourages you to perform happiness, but the Stoic invites you to live reality. Now reflect. Is the life you are sharing the life you are actually living? And if not, what truth are you running from? This is where the journey begins, not in the applause of others, but in the courage to face your own quiet mind. When you scroll through your feed, what do you actually see? Smiling faces frozen in time, pictures of perfect vacations under perfect skies, captions that read like affirmations rather than reflections. Everyone seems happy. Everyone seems fulfilled. Everyone seems together, except you. But let's pause and feel that for a moment. Do those images make you feel seen? Do they make you feel understood? Or do they make you feel smaller? That's not coincidence. That's not harmless entertainment. That is modern life filtered through a lens of performance, and humans are paying a quiet, heavy price for it. Many of us no longer live our days. We record them. We don't eat meals. We take pictures of them. We don't talk with our partners. We post about them. We don't experience joy. We simulate it. And we do all of this because we've been taught implicitly that happiness must be visible to be real. You've been told, look happy, be happy, post happy, or else your life isn't good enough. But this is not humanity. This is performance. It transforms connection into consumption, presence into projection, and lived reality into a curated story. This is where the Stoic revelation becomes vital. Stoicism doesn't ask you to reject life. It asks you to live it without illusions. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, lived in a world without social media, without likes and shares. Yet they wrestled with the same human illness that plagues us today. They saw people chasing approval. They saw people chasing praise. They saw people losing themselves in the eyes of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change. For I seek the truth by which no one was ever truly harmed." Notice how the Stoic search for truth begins inside, not in the applause of strangers. Seneca taught that most of our suffering does not come from reality itself, but from our judgment about reality. You suffer not because your life is imperfect, but because you compare it to someone else's highlight reel. This is an ancient human error, not a modern one, but social media has amplified it. In the past, you might compare yourself to your neighbor next door. Today, you compare yourself to every smiling face on the planet. And in that comparison, genuine experience is replaced with anxiety and self-criticism. My vacation should have looked like that. My family dinner should have felt this way. My life should appear as joyful as theirs. But life never promised you that. No philosophy, no deity, no culture guaranteed that every moment would feel triumphant, picturesque, or complete. Life promised experience, not performance. And that's where Stoicism shows its power. Stoic wisdom distinguishes between two realms. What is within your control, your judgments, intentions, choices. What is outside your control, other people's praise, social norms, what others project. Your inner peace depends only on the first. Your suffering, more often than not, comes from trying to control the second. When you post a joyful photo and wait for approval, you are giving someone else control over your emotional state. That's not freedom, that's dependency. Stoicism calls this the external, the things you cannot own, yet you try to possess emotionally. A Stoic person does not beg for approval from others. They measure their own life not by how many applaud it, but by how aligned it is with their own reasoned purpose. Ask yourself this. When you look at a photo of someone smiling in the sun, do you feel joy for them, or do you feel pressure on yourself? That pressure is not life. It's comparison disguised as desire. And comparison is, in essence, a dismissal of your own journey. You are not behind. You are not lesser. You are not missing something fundamental. You are simply living a life that is yours, and not everyone's highlight reel. The pain you feel watching other lives appear joyful is not evidence that your life is lacking. It's evidence that you are comparing an external projection to your internal reality. Stoics believed that comparison is the enemy of peace, not because reality is unfair, but because your tranquility should never be based on what others display. So reflect now. Is your suffering coming from your life, or from the way you're measuring it? When you stop performing happiness, you begin to experience living. And that shift from performance to presence is a form of freedom the modern world rarely teaches. But the Stoics have been whispering it for centuries. True serenity is not visible, it is internal. And it begins not with a post, but with honest self-reflection. At some point, every person reaches the same quiet realization. If I let my impulses lead my life, I will become their prisoner. This is where modern culture lies to you. It tells you that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That saying yes to every desire is authenticity. That resisting yourself is repression. That discipline is something cold, harsh, almost violent. The Stoics would have smiled at this misunderstanding. To them, discipline was not the enemy of freedom, it was the condition for it. Seneca wrote that no man is free who is a slave to his desires. Epictetus taught that if you want to be invincible, you must learn which impulses to obey and which to refuse. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the mind must rule the body, not the other way around. This is not moralism, it is realism. Look at how exhaustion defines our age. People are tired, not because they work too much with their hands, but because their minds never rest. They are always reachable, always responding, always reacting, always proving something. A message arrives, you answer immediately. A notification flashes, you check it. A comparison appears, you measure yourself against it. And slowly, silently, your attention stops belonging to you. The Stoics understood something crucial. A distracted mind cannot be a free mind. When you surrender your attention to every impulse, you are no longer living deliberately. You are being used by habits, by desires, by expectations that were never chosen consciously. This is why discipline is not about harsh control. It is about recovering authorship over your own life. Discipline is choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. It is choosing when to engage and when to withdraw. It is choosing rest intentionally instead of collapsing from exhaustion. It is choosing depth over noise. The modern world praises availability. The Stoic values presence. The modern world rewards immediacy. The Stoic practices patience. The modern world encourages constant expression. The Stoic respects restraint. This does not make life smaller, it makes it clearer. Consider how many of your daily actions are automatic. You check your phone without thinking. You respond out of habit. You consume without hunger. You scroll without curiosity. None of this is evil, but none of it is free. Freedom begins the moment you ask, do I need this right now? Does this serve my character? Is this choice moving me toward peace or away from it? Stoicism is not about denying pleasure. It is about not being ruled by it. The Stoic does not hate comfort. He simply refuses to let comfort decide who he becomes. That is why discipline feels difficult at first, because your body resists it, your habits resist it, your impulses resist it. But resistance is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something important is happening. The body prefers ease, the mind prefers habit, but the soul prefers coherence. And coherence only comes when your actions align with your values, not your impulses. This is why the Stoics trained themselves daily, not to become rigid, but to become free from internal chaos. They knew something we tend to forget. If you cannot say no to yourself, you will spend your life saying yes to things that drain you. Discipline is not the denial of life. It is the selection of what deserves your life. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people are not exhausted because life is too hard. They are exhausted because they are undisciplined with their attention, their energy, and their boundaries. Stoicism does not promise happiness. It promises clarity. And clarity brings calm. So ask yourself honestly, are you tired because life demands too much? Or because you have not decided what deserves your energy? Because the moment you choose discipline, not as punishment, but as protection, you stop living reactively, and you begin living deliberately. That is not restriction, that is freedom. Look around. Everywhere you turn, the world insists you must be happy. Not quietly content, but visibly, constantly, undeniably happy. You must smile at work. You must glow on vacation. You must radiate gratitude even when you're breaking inside. This is not joy, this is performance. A new kind of pressure, not to feel better, but to appear better. Not to heal, but to hide. Not to connect, but to impress. We are not living lives, we are curating illusions. You feel tired, but you post as if you're thriving. You feel disconnected, but you caption it as blessed. Your home is silent with resentment, but your feed sings family first. And the most dangerous part is, everyone else is doing the same. So the illusion feeds itself. You believe their performance and doubt your own reality. You wonder, why am I the only one exhausted? Why does my joy feel so distant? Why is everyone else's life so much more beautiful than mine? But here's what the Stoics would say. Happiness that must be shown to others is not real happiness. Epictetus warned that we should seek progress, not applause. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to be concerned with inner worth, not outer reputation. Seneca cautioned against living as a slave to public opinion. Their message was simple. You do not owe anyone the performance of a perfect life. You owe yourself the honesty of a peaceful one. That means it's okay to be ordinary, to have a quiet holiday, to take a trip that doesn't need to be photographed, to feel sad without an explanation, to not share every meal, every thought, every fleeting smile with the world, because life is not a commercial, and peace is not a spectacle. The Stoics believed in euthymia, a state of inner calm, a steadiness of soul, not the high of excitement, not the buzz of novelty, but the strength of alignment. They believed that the best life is not the loudest, but the most coherent. But the modern world whispers otherwise. It tells you that value is measured by visibility, that worth is counted in followers, that a moment only matters if someone else sees it. And so, slowly, you begin to live more in the mirror than in the moment. But the mirror is a liar. It only reflects what you're willing to perform, not who you truly are. The Stoics ask something radical. What if you stopped performing? What if you didn't post that picture? What if you didn't answer that message? What if your next joy was private, sacred, even? What if peace was something you didn't need to prove? In a world where everyone is exhausted from pretending, perhaps the most revolutionary thing you can do is be real. Not in defiance, not in drama, but in quiet truth. I am tired today. I don't know. I feel sad. I am at peace. This kind of honesty doesn't need applause. It doesn't need filters. It doesn't need to be liked, because it is enough for you. So if your life doesn't look perfect right now, good. That means you're finally starting to live in truth, and truth is where real happiness begins. So what now? Now that you've seen the lie, the pressure to be happy, not for yourself, but for others, the burden of needing to prove you're doing well, even when you're falling apart inside, you may feel angry, or free, or both. And that's the beginning of something powerful. Because peace is not something that happens when everything is perfect. Peace begins the moment you stop pretending. You stop chasing everyone else's version of joy. You stop needing your life to impress. You stop giving away your worth to the opinions of people who don't even know you. And in that stillness, in that private, quiet space, no one sees you begin to feel something real. Not happiness, not excitement, but something deeper. Alignment, dignity, freedom. The Stoics never told us to suppress our feelings. They told us to be the master of them, to choose our response, to protect our peace, even when the world demands a show. You are allowed to live a life that is unseen. You are allowed to find joy that isn't loud. You are allowed to suffer without explaining, and heal without sharing. Because the most meaningful parts of your life might never be documented, and that's exactly what makes them yours. So ask yourself, what if today you chose peace and didn't post it? What if you lived fully, just for you? Let them perform. You just live.